Hello and how are you? My name is Mahid Mbarak and I welcome you to another episode of learning how to make mobile applications using Flutter. In today's video, we're going to proceed from where I stopped at in the previous lecture, and we are looking at how to create a complete mobile application, a news mobile application, where we're fetching the data from the online API and then display the data in the news app. So in the previous lecture, we looked at different things of how we can achieve that, and we know how we're going to learn a lot of things, or a lot of techniques that you can implement in real world. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to first increase my font so you can see things clearly, and then we proceed with our today's business. So I'll come here, increase my font. Where do you set it from? Alright, front of the editor, make it 16. Alright, I hope there you'll be able to see the code. Alright, so let's go ahead and start. We always do 40 minutes. As you can see, our timer has already started. Where is it? It has already started. It is here. Okay, let's go ahead and start our today's business. So as you've been following, this is the application that we always use for demonstration. So this is the news app where we are putting the module of a news. So I'll go ahead and open it so it will load the news, and you remember how we did that logic. So here we tested how to make a HTTP request, and you remember how we had successful fetching of the data from internet and displaying that data in the console. So today we're going to take it from there. However, I'm going to explain everything again so that you can be able to do it, to understand. So let's go ahead and begin with our motive, or the demonstration of how we want the application to work. So I'll go ahead and open here my Word document so you can see a white color. Alright, so we said I'll come here and pick some demonstration. Okay, let me pick here something to draw. Want a pen that I can use for drawing. Alright, let me use zooms. So we said that here we're going to have a mobile app, a mobile phone. Okay, let's say this is the mobile phone, and then maybe we can put this, and okay, this is the mobile phone, and then we're going to have the server, which is on internet, the one that is going to be providing us the data or the news. Okay, so this is on internet. This will be giving us news. Okay, so here we're going to have, let me first extend this one. So extend this guy. Sorry, this is just a shit. Okay, so alright, so I'm going to demonstrate this. So let me get here a pen. Okay, so this is the phone. Okay, so let's say this is the phone. So this phone has a offline database. Okay, let's say this is the database, the one that we've been demonstrating, which is the SQLite. All right, so this phone has an engine that can connect to internet. Okay, this is an engine on this phone that can connect to internet. All right, let's say this is just a engine that connect to internet. So this engine is also on a phone, on this phone. So everything that you see here is in one phone. So it is this phone versus the server. So what we're going to do, we are going to write a logic that is going to support offline capabilities. So if you don't support offline capabilities, what will happen is you'll be sending a request that you want a news, maybe you want some specific news about a certain topic. You send a request of the news that you want, which is what you call HTTP. So this one will send you back the data of the news that you requested for. Okay, this is the response. So if you do not going to support the offline capabilities, what does it mean? It means that you'll just go ahead and display this news in the phone. So it means that if this person closes the application and exit this, then it means that this news will disappear from the phone. Again, next time when he opens, he will need to make a request and we send them the fresh news. So it means that if he doesn't have internet, this person will not be able again to do what? To get this connection, will not be able to get the connection here and get the news. So this will not be very much effective. In very many applications these days, they have to support offline capabilities in a way that if the person is not able to connect to internet, they should be able still to do some few things. They should also be able to be able to preview some data, okay, that you had prefetched before. So that is the approach that we want to use. So instead of just displaying the news directly, what we're going to do, we're going to do it like this. So we're going to remove this one. Let me go ahead. We're going to remove these guys. This one, this delete is not working. All right, I think I should use this rubber. Okay, we're going to remove this and this and this and this. Okay, we're going to remove this one. So what you're going to do, instead of just displaying the news direct, what you're going to do, you're going to bring this news into the database. Okay, so immediately, so this guy will make a fetch, will fetch a request. After getting this news, what we'll do, will display it in the local database. So why do you display it in the local database? Display it in the local database because we believe that even if this person closes the application, this news will remain in the phone. So this phone it will be just requesting from local database the news that it wants. All right, so that's what you want, and then the database will be providing. So it means that even if this person does not have connection, at least we'll be able to show them the things that are that in the local database. So I hope you understand. So by doing like this, then it means that your application will be having the offline capabilities, where some person can do a few things or can see a few things that were fetched before, even when they don't have internet connection. That is a very important feature and a powerful feature in the modern applications, not to waste time to collect the data and the user keeps on waiting until this data comes. So what you do, you load it on his machine and then you just be displaying to him. So if you do like this, then the application will be fast in a way that the user will not be waiting for the data to connect from internet. So I hope you understand what I've talked about. So now let's go ahead and implement. So how are we going to do it? We are going to begin by doing what? We're going to begin by first clear everything. We're going to begin. Sorry. All right. So we are going to begin by implementing the local database, and then we request the news. Okay. So we're going to begin by requesting the news, then have it here, and then save the local database, then display it. Okay, we're going to begin by getting this news using HTTP, and then save it to the local database, and then display it. All right, so I'll clear my screen. Okay, and I'll close the annotation, and then we go ahead and start implementing. So this is the application. I believe everyone can reach at this point. So I'm going to explain a few things that we covered in the previous lecture, step by step, so that those ones who have started today, they should be on the same page with us. Okay, the first thing is, how do you connect, how do you get the news from internet? So we say that we get the news from internet by using a HTTP request. Okay, so if you need a HTTP request, we say that to perform a HTTP request from internet, we looked at a package called DIO, or what we call DIO, and we went ahead and added it into our into our application. So if you want to add this DIO in your application, just simply go to internet on Google and search DIO Flutter package. Okay, so as you search DIO Flutter package, they'll be able to do what, to give you this DIO package. Okay, so what you do, you go ahead and install it by just following these simple steps that you're seeing here. I've already shown you how to install different packages. Okay, so after installing different packages, they'll show you different examples of how you can make a HTTP request and receive the data. Then we went ahead and installed this DIO. Okay, so after installing the DIO, let me increase also the, I hope you can see this menu. After installing the DIO, then we're able to do it, to create a HTTP request. So what we did, I'll come here where this is. So I'll come to our news home. So I'll come here to where my screens are. Let me collapse everything. I'll come to where my lib, then come to pages, and then come to this news application screen, and then come to this home screen of the news, this one here. Okay, this point. So I want, when I click here, I should make a request. So you can see we have put here the list tile that is clickable in a way that if you click on it, it will make a the request. So what we did after doing that, after installing the DIO, we went ahead and created the news the news model. So the news model is the class that will be responsible for performing all the news actions, all the common actions that are about the news, and it will also be responsible for saving the news data into the into the local database, and also fetching that news data from the internet. So this is the class. So I'm going to show you how we created this news class. Okay, or this news model class. All right, so you go ahead and create this screen, and then put this list tile listener, so that when you click on it, it makes this it calls this news model. Okay, so how did you create this news model class? What we did, we come to our project, and then we come to our models. So models, these are the objects that are used to perform backend upon a certain module. So I have to put them aside. So here we have the screens that are used that we use to display the user interfaces, and then here we have the models where we are performing different back-end logics. So in these models, in this model folder, we created a new class which is called news model. You can see it here. So I'm going to explain how we created this news model this news model class. So at beginning, we just simply come and say class, then say news model. So we first begin by creating a file of newsmodel.dat. After creating that file, you come and create a class, and name it, or the class that you want. So in this case, for me, I called it news model. Okay, so in this news model, we gave it different parameters. All right, we gave it different parameters, or different properties, which is going to be the string of URL, the string of URL to image, the string of the source of the news, the string of the author who published the news, and then the string of the title, the string of description, and also the date when it was published, and the content. So how did you come up with this? So these are just variables that are in this class. So how did you come up with this? So we came up with this depending on the API that we are going to implement. So this API, it provides free news data to your applications. You don't need to pay. You just fetch free news, and then you use it in whatever case that you want. So here I have this API. So I'm going to show you what that API is. All right. So sorry about this one. I'll use it to demonstrate something. Okay. So what we're going to do, it's called all right, so you come to internet and search for news API or free news API, you'll be able to find it. It just provides free news. Okay, so come here and search for free news API. Okay, all right, so this is the free news API. This first link, which is newsapi.org, provides free news for you. All right, so you go ahead and create the account. Creating an account is very simple and straightforward. Okay, after creating the account, you go ahead and read the documentation. So the documentation is very simple. You just write. So what we did, we had just to copy the link of the news that we want. Okay, so for example, if you want the news about Tesla, you go ahead and do this. Okay, so you can open here. I'll show you. You can come here to documentation, and then you'll see different documentations and how you can do it, and how you can go ahead and implement, how to search for different articles, how to do different parameters. Okay, so for us, we can go ahead and see how we can get the news. For example, this is the news about a specific publisher. So let's go ahead and get the news about everything. So when you click on everything, they'll show you the examples of how you can get news about it, about everything. So these are different parameters that you do it, that you pass. Okay, so I'll go ahead and copy this link. Okay, so after copying the link, you go ahead and implement in your project. So let me go ahead and copy this link of everything. So I'll come here to our application. This one I used just to demonstrate, so I can delete it. So I just simply come here and put the link that we want. Okay, that I want to access, which is going to be news API, and then I put stroke v2 stroke v everything, and then here it is a queue where will be what will be say questioning. So I mean the search engine. So you can put, for example, Uganda. So it is going to bring the news that it gets about Uganda, and then put and then say API key, and then you pass the key that they'll have given to you. So we created a function in the previous class that can help us get the data from internet, and this function we put it in a class called utils or utilities. So in that utils class, we created this class ourselves, and we put functions that we can keep on using at any time. So we created a function and we called it HTTP GET. So let me go to that function and I show how we created it. So if I open it, we have what we call a HTTP GET. So the use of this HTTP GET is to get anything, the data, anything from internet, and give you back whatever it has got from internet. So what you'll be doing, you'll just be providing it a URL. So once you provide it a URL, it will get the source from internet and the data for that, of course, on that URL from internet, and then send it you back. So how did you write it? Just simply said static, future, dynamic. So it means that it is going to be delaying, and when you mean the static means that it can be even accessed without creating the instance of this class. And then you could give it a name called HTTP what? HTTP GET. Then what the meaning of dynamic means that it can return any type of data. It can return a string, it can return a variable, it can return a null, anything. That's why I put dynamic. And then you open the bracket and then put a string URL. So this URL is the link that we'll be receiving, and then it is going to be asynchronous, meaning that it will be taking time. It will have something like await inside it. So, and then you open curly bracket and then close it here. So inside this function, we just created an instance of the DO. If you still remember, DO is the library that we just added. So we can do what? We can be able to create HTTP request. So I put the DO library, I put the DO instance there. After putting the DO instance, I create what we call a response. And then to get the data from internet with DO is just very simple, as you can see there. dio.get, and then you await. So when you wait, it will get for you the data from internet using get method. All right. So the post method is also the same, very, very simple. And then whatever it returns, we return it back as what? As data. All right. So that is how we be fetching the internet data from here. Using this function. So after doing that, then we implement this function in the model of the news. So let me switch back now to the news model. It is here. So in this news model, we put one what? We put one class. We put one function, or we put one method. This method is going to be responsible for fetching the data from internet and then get it to what? To the mobile phone. And then this same method will be responsible for saving that data into a what? Into our database. Just like the way we discussed, that will be fetching data from internet and then save it first on the database, if you still remember our diagram. Then after, we'll have the data now. We'll have a function that will just, its use will be just fetching from the what? From the phone, or from the database that is on the phone, SQLite. Alright, so now this method, you've seen it, how I've created it. Now I'm going to explain every component in this method so you can understand it clearly. So it is static future void. So it is static future. It means that it can be created without initializing the news model class, and it can be accessed publicly. Then it is void. It is having future void. You don't expect it for it to do what? To return to you anything. It's not going to be returning anything. That's the meaning of void. So why does this one doesn't return? Of course, you still remember, its task is not to return. Its task is to get the news and save them offline. That is its task, not to return or to give you anything. Though it's like the source. Its use is just to fetch the news and save them to the database. And then it's going to be asynchronous, means that it's going to have something like await inside it. So after doing that, we go ahead and then say dynamic data. So this dynamic data, what does it mean? It means that we are going to fetch now the data from internet, equals to await utils.get. So you remember the function that we created here, we are now making use of it. Okay, utils.get, and then open bracket, and then pass the link of our news. So this link is just https newsapi.org/org, then v2, then everything question mark, and then say put q equals to whatever topic that you want to search about. For example, I want to be getting the news about Uganda. I do that, and then say and API key equals to the API key that they provided you after creating the account, so you can be identified. So this is how you do it. This is how you make a request. So if you do like this, you'll see that it's very simple. In just one line, you'll be able to fetch data from from internet. That is very simple and nice. Alright, so after fetching the data from internet, the next thing we check if this data that has come is not null. Alright, so because sometimes there might be an error from the other side, and then it sends back the null. So if they send you back null and you don't check, and maybe you try to perform an action on that data variable, then your application will end up doing what? Will end up having the runtime error, or what we call the crashing. So we check if it is null. We just simply make a toast. This is a toast, just a pop-up, and say it failed to do what? To fetch the data from internet. Alright, so if it passes there, we go ahead. This is a pop-up that we created. It is in a toast. You can also create it just for notification. You can either print, or you can just simply create something like like this. Okay, you add this package called Flutter toast, and then you create a method, a function in your in your utils. So this one will be responsible for just showing that pop-up notification of what is happening in background. So you first check if the data is null. It should say it has failed to fetch the data. So if the data is not null, and then return immediately, don't proceed from there. So if the data is not null, so what next is going to be done? We are going to check if the runtime is equal to a JSON, because according to the structure of that news, they are sending us the data in form of what? In form of JSON. So this is how you check if the data is in good format of JSON. So that news, this news API, it go ahead and give us more information, such as status. So if you put its data from console, let me for example put the data in console. So let me come here, I just simply say print, and then I put the data in console and I return, so I don't proceed from here. All right, so I hope we are together. So I know if I call this method, it's going to call this one. All right, I hope you remember. Here, this is our news application, so it is calling the news model.get what, get online items. This method, you know what, that one that you created here. So this method is just having these few lines, and I'm just dumping whatever is coming from internet, and I put it in what, in the console. So if I go do that and I go ahead and click on this, it will load and then put the data in the console. Can you see? It put the data in the what, in the console. Let me go ahead and update. It loads and put whatever has come in the what, in the console. So if you analyze this data properly, you can as well look at it here. You see, they'll show you the kind of response that will come. It will be a JSON, but if you analyze, they'll send you something called status, and you can access it, and it will be having the value of OK. So in case everything is all right. So what I'm going to do here, these results are too many, 1,300. That is too much, of course. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, I'm going to check. So let me remove now this. I hope you're together. So what I'm doing here, I'm checking if the result is not okay according to what they promise us. I just simply return from here and say it failed to do what, to fetch data, and I make a toast. All right, so if the result is okay, then I'll know that okay, now the data is what, is fine. So after, I can now start doing what, I can now start accessing my data. So to access the data, I just simply loop. If you see in their documentation, they say they'll give you the articles inside articles. All right, okay, inside articles. So you're going to loop through these articles, okay, since it's a JSON. So you just simply say for each or for variable x in what, in the data, I mean in articles, data articles, and then you loop. Okay, so as you loop, you can now converting this data from JSON as you do what, as you save it in what, in the local database. All right, so let's go ahead and see how we did that. So you see, this is I++, this is just a counter, and then you say news model. So this is a single news model, and then say article and equals to news model from JSON. So this from JSON is a method that we wrote ourselves that is going to help us to be fetching, to be converting data from JSON to the object of the news. All right. So let me come here to the from JSON object, which you can see here. It is accepting a JSON, a JSON structured data, which is in form of map, string, and dynamic. Okay, so after doing that, I go ahead and create now the news model here, and then I say news URL equals to map, and then you put URL and then put this double question mark and then put the empty. So those double question mark, they will help to check if whatever you're trying to access is not null. All right, they will check if whatever you're trying to access is not null. Otherwise, if you try to access null and want to save it there in a string, then it will give you what, an error. So do this. Okay, so now image, we go ahead and collect the image. Now there is something about the source. You see, the source still is kind of an object. Okay, it's kind of a news object, but here we need only what, in only strings like these ones. So what do? We have to convert it to the what, to the same string structure that we want, which is JSON encode. So when you run JSON encode, it will convert that structure, that source, the structure of the source, and put it in the format of a string that we need. So go ahead and collect. We collect the author, we collect the title, we collect the what, the description, and then we collect the date when it was published and the content that is available. All right, so after doing that, we go ahead and return the object, which is the news model. Okay, so when you return, now this person should be able to do what, to deal with that news model from that function that has helped us. That has helped us to convert that thing. All right, so that's where we had to look into this JSON, and we called this this news model from JSON, as we do as we loop. So here I can just display. Okay, so I can just display what has come. All right, so I'll go ahead and open this, and then I clear, and then after I click on this request news, so it will load, and you will see that we have come with with so many news. Can you see? And we have successfully parsed this news. We have successfully parsed this news. So now we are going to do the saving. If you still remember our diagram, we have successfully now run the HTTPS. So you can either display this directly to your screen, of course, because you already have it, or you can first save it to the local database. So it is just up to you how you want to do it, how to implement your application. So for us, let's go ahead and do good practices. We are going to save this data in the local database, and then when we want to display, we'll be reading from the local database. So what does that mean? It means that we'll not go ahead and keep on doing the same thing all the time. I hope you understand that. So after doing that, let's go ahead and now work on the logic of saving. So every time we loop here, we should be saving at least the items that are being looped. Okay, here, this is what I'm talking about. We want to save this article from here, so it can be offline. Okay, so even if you don't have internet, you'll just read from offline. Okay, so what we're going to do right now, we're going now to see how we can save, because we have successfully parsed the news model from the raw data of JSON to its object. Okay, so that's a very good progress. So let's go ahead and create a function that we're going to use for saving. Okay, let's create a function for saving. So the function for saving, we can borrow from what we had. For example, we have a function for saving in this user mode, if you still remember. Okay, so I can just simply come and copy that one and then modify. All right, let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to just copy this save and then come to the news model, this one, and then paste it there. All right, so it's going to be future string. So you remember we return strings that in case it is empty, then everything went well. So I go ahead and import the database. After importing the database, so instead of just putting this user model, make sure that you don't put that user model. Okay, it has to be you need database from the news. Okay, so you need to initialize the database, right? The table. Okay, so you can go ahead and borrow still how we did what we did here. So I'll just come and copy this and then come and paste it here. All right, so let's go ahead and fix that and explain. So this function is going to be responsible for saving a single item to the database. So it's going to be database.db.async. All right, so we're going to say, we go ahead, I already explained these things. So here we're going to do what? We're going to create now the SQL. Okay, so the SQL is going to be, so you can create our table variable. Okay, and then you can call it news, okay, or news articles, or whatever you want. Okay, so that's going to be the table the table name. So let's go ahead and see. So it's going to be create table if not exist. So we put here the table name. All right, let me put this table as about to be static. I'm just about to be static, right? Okay, yeah, that's okay. So you say create table if not exist, then you put the table name. Say they should create table if it does not exist. And then after you concatenate the SQL, another SQL, and then say start creating out the table itself. Alright. So I can just simply go ahead and come and copy the variables here. They're the ones that we're going to use to create a what? To create a table, which is here. So I can paste them here just for the sake of demonstration. So we're going to have the URL. So if you still remember, we realized that these guys, they don't give you ID. Okay, they don't give you ID, but they give you a URL. So we can use that URL since it is going to be unique to identify the what? The news. Right. So instead of saying ID integer, so we're going to say string. Okay, so it's going to be, so this is going to be the identifier. It's going to be the primary key. So it's going to be the name, which is URL, and then it's going to be what? A text, and say it is a key, at the same time it is a primary key. We remove the auto increment because the ID is not going to be generated from the what? From the local database. Okay, so we remove auto increment. Okay, so after, I can go ahead and press enter here, and I see more thing that I'm going to add. So I'm going to add the image to URL. I can paste it here. All right, so the next thing I'm going to add, what is this? Okay, oh, sorry. I have to remove these ones. That confused me. These ones are from users. Okay, so I'm going to so I've put here news image. The next thing, URL to image, I think I've finished. So the next thing is source. So I come and put here source. Then I duplicate this one. So in that, you can as well create new lines like that. I mean, you can as well concatenate one to each other like the one I'm doing. So it's going to be source. Okay. And then you have the what? You have the author. Put the author. Then we have the title. Okay. Put the title. Then we have what? We have the description. You put description. And then published art. You put published art. And then you get the content, and you put there the content. Alright, so make sure that at last there is no comma. Otherwise your things will not do what? Will not work. And make sure that your things are separated with what? They're separated with comma. So by doing like this, we'll be able to do what? To create a what? To create a table. Okay, so I'm going to save the data in the database. I hope you're together, right? I hope you're together. So this is just for initializing the table, and make sure the table initialized before they start saving. So I can remove this rubbish. Okay, so after doing that, we're going to, you see this is the exception, and then you say db if in case it fails. All right, so that is the simple function that you can use for initializing the table. All right, so let's go ahead and now see the save. We go back to the save. So save, it will initialize the database, it should initialize the table. It checks if the response is not empty, and then it go ahead and do the inserting. It's going to be db insert, and then you put the table name, and then you put the to JSON. So to JSON will convert the data to JSON, right? And then after converting the data to JSON, it will be able to do what? To be saved to the database. We already have written from JSON, so let's go ahead and get to JSON. JSON is very, very simple. Alright, so we can get to JSON. We come and copy this one. This is the to JSON, very simple function. Here, okay, we're in the file of news, and we're in the point of saving. So I want to convert the news article to JSON. Okay, so how do you do that? You just simply say map string dynamic. Okay, after doing map string dynamic, you go ahead and say to JSON, and then you open curly bracket, and then you return the curly bracket. Okay, this is a curly bracket. You open and it closes here. Okay, So you can go ahead and put, let me remove these ones that we don't want, and then come and collect the one that you want, and then our time is up. All right, and then I put them there. So this one will be able to save for us some news into the local database. So let's go ahead and try that and see if it will save this news properly. So we'll come here. Okay, conflict, it should replace, in case there is a same news, the same URL, it should replace that news. All right, so I hope now you understand how we can do it, how we can do that. So this is just save, that is responsible for saving things. This is to JSON, that is responsible for converting the data in whatever form it is back to what, to JSON. So in this place here, we are doing what? We are looping. So as we loop, we want to be saving. All right, so let's go ahead and save. So I'll come with this article, since it now has the saving feature. I can just simply put dot save, and then put dot await, like this. So if you do like this, it will have saved your, it will have saved on the local database to avoid the unnecessary HTTP connections. All right, so I hope you understand there. Okay, so let's go ahead and run and see if we will not get errors. I'll clear everything and click on make HTTP test. It will load. You see the data is there, it has come. Okay, though we got some warning. Okay, got some warning, I don't know which warning. Initialize news, because okay, it is failing to initialize the news table because exception near key. So there's an issue near the key. All right, let's go ahead and see if what that issue could it be. Oh, you see, the problem is we did not put here a comma. Okay, we did not put a comma, that's why we are not able to do what, to save. So you have to be very much careful. Let's go ahead and try again. It's loading. Boom, everything is successful. Those are 100 articles that have been saved in just 1 second. All right, so in the next lecture or the next session, we are now going to do what? We are now going to display the news. So don't miss. Let's go ahead and have a break of 5 minutes, or a break of 7 minutes. So 5 minutes past 6, we should all be back, and then we resume our business. So we can see we have made a very, very nice progress. Now at least we can save to the database. Okay, that is very nice. Now the next thing is just to read from the database and then to display. All right, that's what we're going to do. Let's go and chill for 1 minute and then come back. For 5 minutes, and then come back at exactly 5 past 6, and then we resume with the next session, unless there is a question. Members, are you following?